Apparently, gatekeeping is a horrible, evil thing, unless you're gatekeeping Hollywood from a strong, independent woman. Oh, sorry. Was that a bit of a gut punch? So, what is going on with gatekeeping? From what I understand, each subject one can be a fan of has a gate, and the guards stationed there are horrible, evil people and must be purged. Let's look into it. Twitter had a post about a single user who had tweeted about being a true anime fan. It said, "If all your common knowledge of anime is from Demon Slayer, Naruto, Inuyasha, Bleach, One Piece, Fate, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Gundam, My Hero Academia, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Ghost in the Shell, then you're not an anime fan. Normies stay the fuck out of anime." Now, of course, Twitter putting a spotlight on this tweet was pretty much a boarding call by Twitter to jump all over this guy for his evil gatekeeping. And boy, did they ever. I read the guy's post and I disagree with him. On what grounds do I disagree? I don't have any. I don't need any. I'm not going to set ground rules for everyone else to be an anime fan. If you believe you are an anime fan, there is nothing I can do to stop you. If someone told me I wasn't a gamer because I never beat True Survivor mode on Resident Evil Remake, I would ignore them. I would continue to play games. What can they do about it? There is literally nothing this person can do to stop me from enjoying my games, or my anime, or what have you. And this is why I don't understand the venomous response to this tweet. If you enjoy something, literally no one can stop you. So what's the problem? Why is gatekeeping treated with such a level of hostility? Why is it the greatest evil a man can ever commit? Have we been so insulated and protected that we can't handle a person out there in the world thinking we aren't a real fan? Is that worth getting mad about? I can at least attempt to understand people being upset when called a bad name like an idiot or a douchebag. But being called not a fan by some nobody? Really? Now, I can understand the vitriol if they can in fact stand in your way, such as trying to get you banned from anime cons, or fired from working on the movies, or having you fired from your job, taking your livelihood. While I saw tweet after tweet about how evil gatekeeping is, it seems to be very selective. Babs Tarr caught hell for drawing herself with darker skin than she actually has. For this, she was called a racist and people demanded she be removed from Critical Role. Is this not gatekeeping? Having someone fired from Star Wars because they have a political opinion that has nothing to do with the fandom or the job. Is that not gatekeeping? I would ask the question, is gatekeeping wrong or not? But the easy answer is that when anti-gatekeepers engage in gatekeeping, they just give it a different name. We aren't gatekeeping, we are protecting you. Ah, the good old, it's okay when we do it. They want to gatekeep, but condemn gatekeepers. Normally I would dismiss this as hypocrisy, but on such a level, I can't chalk it up to simple lack of self-awareness. So I think it's important to ask a simple question. Why? I have seen some people argue that gatekeeping can be a good thing, and the accusation of exclusion is meant to allow people who aren't fans to infiltrate the community for less than honest reasons. The Puritan Let Me In Brigade so often post memes of some lady saying she is a fan of comics, and then some neckbeard demands that she names every single comic Wolverine appeared in or some ridiculous bullcrap. In reality, it goes more like this. Someone says they're a Dragon Ball Z fan, but is visibly confused when you mention the Saiyan race. If someone has not made it halfway through the first episode, but calls themselves a fan, you have to wonder why. Yet, if you show the slightest notice of this inconsistency, you are accused of excluding them. Then, soon after, they start calling the show sexist for its lack of female Super Saiyans, or racist, or bigoted, and explain why we need to start hating the show, or the manga, or a petition to change something that you love just the way it is. Exclusion is something people are afraid of being accused of, and gatekeeping is another form of exclusion. People's fear of these labels can be used against them, weaponizing the terms. There is a really good meme of a person joining a hobby. They demand the hobby be changed. When the current or real fans say no, they are accused of excluding the new player. This is checkmate for the infiltrator. So I have to ask, is vilifying gatekeeping a 4D chess move to put everyone in check? You have to let everyone in, or else you are gatekeeping. Then you have to change yourself and a hobby to suit those people, or you are excluding them. So a person walks into a hobby they don't like and forces it to conform to them until they do like it. By then, the original fans are no longer interested. Imagine a religious person walking into a D&D game and finds out their god does not exist in the game. Then they demand all the gods be removed and replaced with the god they believe in. Is the dungeon master excluding or gatekeeping that person by refusing to make those changes? Let's assume that the dungeon master here says no to the infiltrator. Does this justify gatekeeping? After all, in this scenario, the DM is protecting the hobby for the other players. Or is this gatekeeping and therefore bad because of label? Or does it matter what religion it is? Should D&D change to accommodate some religions but not others? You see, absolutes always have contradictions. In the way of exclusion, let's not forget that these hobbies or fandoms are populated by people who were most likely originally excluded people. Anime fans, cosplayers, gamers, D&Ders, all have in common the fact that they were excluded from the cool crowds. However, today, all these hobbies are the cool thing. Imagine letting people into your fandom, and then they decide you do not belong there now. They have moved from their cool kids table, sit down at your table, and decided that you have to go. And us nerds are just supposed to take that. We don't want to be accused of gatekeeping, after all. Yes, it is laughable to think. The cool kids wanted nerds gone, but then decided they want the nerds table. If anyone says no, they cry victim. Like a bitch. And this is cool. What happened? I have no problem with people who play Candy Crush on their phone, calling themselves gamers. However, I have watched as people use the accusation of gatekeeping to waltz in and start gatekeeping. There are articles upon articles condemning gamers for liking their characters to have a little sex appeal, or for liking their games to have a little bit of challenge, or heaven forbid do a little trash talking in our favorite first-person shooter. Former Guild Wars 2 developer Jennifer Sherrill once said in a tweet, "If we believe in our communities, if we think that the people we create for are worth our time and effort, it is an act of love and care to ask them to be better and expect nothing but the best of them." Again, expecting the best of people is an act of care. These people walk into gaming and declare that gamers are problematic, that gamers need to be better. Like we don't know what that means. It is a demand, a declaration. They are here now, and so gamers must submit to them. Gamers must cater to them. And somehow it is an act of care to want us to roll out the red carpet for them and bow to their sensibilities, kiss the ring, lest we be kept outside the gate. As a gamer, since Atari, I have an answer for those demanding that I be better. Go fuck yourself. And that isn't even the worst. While people who aren't really interested in the fandom is one thing, others have bad intentions. Puritans demanding that our favorite animes change because they can't handle the female characters having breasts. Censors come in and remove the blood running down Vegeta's face as he fights Android 18. Removing that moment, that realization that Super Saiyan might not be enough to make it this time. And then you have simple creeps that just want to invade any space that isn't aware of them yet. The creeps who come to the defense of censorship while tipping their fedoras to the ladies. Then they come up on stalking charges. Is it also not gatekeeping for new anime fans to tell the current fans what they are allowed to enjoy? You can't like this anime because there's too much violence. You can't like that anime, the women are too sexy. For women to be empowered, they must be made into men. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. We have this tweet saying, "You can't defend this," as if there's anything to defend. I am honestly confused by this mentality. If I turn on my radio and the station is talking about something I don't like, I don't make demands for the station to change. I just turn the knob on my car radio. If I found anime too offensive to watch, I would just simply stop watching it. Just to clarify, I'm not saying we shouldn't criticize things. Criticism is important. Pointing out plot holes, or diminishing art quality, story elements you think could have been better, or when characters do things that they just simply wouldn't do. However, there is a huge difference between criticism and demanding people be fired for something completely unrelated. It is a different thing to attempt to alienate the fans that were there long before, to demand that this anime or game or movie conform completely and totally to one's sense of morality or sensibilities, or precious little fifis, and then demand that people be fired for the offense in the first place. Yes, by all means criticize, but understand that some people will criticize your criticisms. Some may even question if you are a real fan. And with the rise of Puritanism, it is 100% fair to question your motives. In our gaming communities are those who criticize games as having bad intentions, but they do so with only themselves in mind. Those who only want to show the world how good of a person they are by condemning the hobby and couldn't care less for the damage being done, all to feed their enormous ego and appetite for victimhood. Is it wrong to tell these people they are not gamers when they preach their hatred for games? Is it wrong to express the opinion that they want to vilify gaming for their own selfish interest? And this brings us to the point of the gatekeeping label. It is not a term used to defeat your argument. It is a term used to shame you away from your argument. If you say the difficulty of Dark Souls is necessary to the game's effect on the player, and then some random person calls you a gatekeeper on Twitter, does that really disprove your argument? No. No, it doesn't. But it is a rallying cry to put pressure on you to forfeit your argument, to feel like a bad person for having said it. like mansplaining or internalized misogyny. It has no real meaning. It is only meant to shut you up. To the original tweet, this was my reply. I disagree, but I can't imagine caring. This guy has zero power to keep you from enjoying anime to your heart's content. It's not like he can have you fired from your job or anything. I cannot show his other tweets explaining himself because his account has been suspended. I don't know why. I can only guess the tweet in question was not the cause, or maybe it was. I'm not sure. I should state that before his account was suspended, he went on in other tweets to clarify. He was ranting against those who wanted to censor anime, and came to the conclusion that only watching these specific anime is the barrier. You can decide if you believe that or not. I really don't know what to think of gatekeeping. Someone might ask if I am for or against gatekeeping. Truth is, to me, it sounds like yet another weaponized term that has no real meaning. You better do what I say or else I'll call you a gatekeeper. Know your place. It's like a crowbar being used to pry their way into any fandom. And I don't know about you, dear listener, but if someone is trying to get into my home with a crowbar, I assume they're up to no good. However, when Puritans get into a fandom and start pushing out the original fans, I'm not even sure who to blame. Here is the strategy summed up, and it is very dumb. These Puritans run up to the castle walls and start slamming their heads into it. After each thud, they look up and say, "Help us, the castle is attacking us." What we should do is point and laugh at these people. But no. Time and time again, we scream, "Oh my God, we must help them." And we start tearing down the fandom castle walls to save these people. So now they are in the kingdom, and again claim that anything they don't like is attacking them. And again, the changes are made to save these poor professional victims. Then everyone lets them get away with their doublespeak. They will look you in the eye and say it's for the best to push out all the bigots. But when they say that, they don't mean a person who is honestly racist or sexist. They mean anyone who will stand up to them. Or, God forbid, even have a conservative opinion. Which has no bearing on the hobby, by the way. I have witnessed this myself in gaming. Before I knew anything about cancel culture or SJWs, I was in a guild, and suddenly friends I had gamed with for a year or more were being dragged as horrible people because they posted the wrong politics on social media outside of the game. Not even on the guild forum, but on their own personal Facebooks or something like that. I am willing to bet a lot of gamers have seen it happen and kept their mouths shut because they didn't want to be the next one to catch a bad label and be pushed into the mud. I mean, really. I don't care if Legolas69 is a Second Amendment supporter. I care that he brings his potions, does his DPS, and stays out of the bad so I don't have to heal his ass. Anyone who has played MMORPGs has been rejected or gatekept from high-end raiding guilds because their gear wasn't good enough, or we had to wait until we got better at the game and beat the new monster in Monster Hunter. We've been beaten in a fighting game and told to get good, scrub. As deterring as these things seem to be, none of these can stop you from playing, from getting better, and finally conquering whatever it was you set out to do. A person saying you aren't a real anime fan can't stop you from watching anime. Being told you're not a real nerd can't stop you from playing D&D. So I just refuse to see gatekeeping as a condemning label. If I am playing a game with a person I can't stand for one reason or another, I stop playing with them. If I don't like someone, I don't watch anime with them. I am under no obligation to enjoy a hobby with a person I don't want to. I guess my point is that I find it hypocritical to decry gatekeeping while actively gatekeeping for reasons that have nothing to do with the fandom in question. Sorry, Jack, you can't join our Gundam Wing discussion tonight because we found out that you're a Bernie supporter instead of Hillary. That's not very feminist of you. Oh, you made fun of Anita Sarkeesian? So you can't raid with us anymore. Escort him outside of our gates. Puritans cry about gatekeeping and then push people out when they don't bow down. How can people not see how insane that is? If they're allowed to do it, then everybody else should be allowed to. When they engage in gatekeeping for their petty reasons, they are saying it is perfectly acceptable. Seems to me that people only disagree on what warrants gatekeeping. I think that's the point to take away. When you see a Puritan looking to twist, brainwash, or convert you to their religion, you have every right to show them the door. If they accuse you of gatekeeping, just take it for what it is, a whine. They would do it to you, so don't let them stand on that artificial high ground. And I honestly suggest not even explaining why you don't want them in your game or your viewing or whatever you enjoy. Don't let people trying to ruin the things you enjoy with their narcissistic need to force everything to heal before them. Now, I can't tell you what to do. I can only make suggestions or say what I would try to do. In the groups I game with, I don't allow divisive Puritan sermonizing. I have never seen that element make anything more fun. That just makes people walk on eggshells, hoping they aren't the next one to be burned at the stake. I suppose I should make my point here, as things may be getting convoluted. We are being sold the idea that gatekeeping is wholesale evil. This is a child's understanding of a concept. Gatekeeping is good nor bad. A pocket knife is a useful tool, yet it can be used for nefarious purposes. This does not make the knife good or evil. My point, moreover, it is very suspicious that we should be told that gatekeeping is evil and one of the worst things a human can ever do by people who actively engage in gatekeeping. They will demonize you for saying something as innocuous as real Star Wars fans don't like the sequel trilogy. Yet they will demand people be fired from their jobs for their politics. They'll tell you which hairstyles you're allowed to have, or which costumes you're allowed to wear on Halloween. Look at the hobbies they have infiltrated. Games journalists used to give us reviews and insights into mechanics to help better understand how to win. Stages of a boss fight you might be struggling to understand. Now, they post headlines like "Gamers are over." And they post this stuff while gamers are their customers. How insane is that? Games journalists are attempting to gatekeep gamers from gaming, trying to shame gamers into compliance with the new religion. That is how strong their venom is. Let's be more recent. This headline from Kotaku from April 29th. Sorry, your cis white woman protagonist isn't progressive. There is something wrong with you if you are not as progressive as they are. Gaming needs to change more to cater to them. Them, not the gamers. They now make demand after demand that developers and publishers push the Puritan gospel in the games they create. And look at what they do from within gaming. Once they are in, they start demanding that this hobby, they claim to love by the way, be changed. Such as recently demanding that evil creatures be removed from fantasy role-playing games. Or how about this? I love Warhammer, but the Imperium seems fascist to me. Change it. I am only aware of the 40K universe from the Arch Warhammer videos. Like, I don't even play the game. I just watch the lore videos because I find it fascinating. Even then, even I know, if you expect 40K to be sunshines and rainbows, you are not a fan. You are a lost tourist. Yeah. And then speaking of fantasy games, Mark Holmes of Dungeons and Dragons High Rollers had an interesting tweet. He said, I honestly couldn't give two fucks about what a bunch of old white dudes think about D&D. This isn't even a joke. This is an honest opinion. He doesn't say people with a specific opinion are the problem. It's people of a specific race and gender that need to be gatekept, that their opinions don't matter. I have to admit, it made me laugh because look at the guy. If he stood next to a gallon of milk, I'd have to double check the expiration date. In case you don't get the joke, he's whiter than the milk, and that makes the milk look like it's ruined. Just want to make sure we're straight on that. Also, let's not forget the bully hunters. These pontificating pukes had to have fake bullies pretend to, quote, harass women in an effort to vilify gamers. Trying like hell to gatekeep gamers. Gamers are evil, sexist, racist bigots, and all of the old guard must go. If gamers were so horrible, why would they need to fake everything? Let's also look at the battle on the ground. The Twitter crusaders looking to put the unbelieving heretics to the flame. Oh, do you like Animal Crossing? Do you think the space buns are cute? Well, too bad. You can't have them. They aren't for you. Speaking of Animal Crossing, take the case of Babs Tarr. Again, the congregation went after her for playing a character with a tan. Now you might think that I already covered this, but no. First time they went after her for drawing a character with a tan that was based on her. This time they're going after her for creating an Animal Crossing character with a tan to play in the game, in that fictional world. She was called a racist for this. They attempted to gatekeep her for this. I hope you understand what I'm saying. That is how fanatical these anti-gatekeepers are. And in the end, all of this is but a fraction. If I went deeper into gaming, or anime, or even started to cover voice acting or movies, I'd be here all week. Look, if you have an opinion and think you are right, you can express that. The gatekeeping label is just an attempt at the current Puritan strategy. They simply label and dismiss. Oh, you think the world is round? Well, that's something only a racist would say. The flat earth is proven. A label in and of itself cannot disprove any idea. You have to explain why it's bad, and that's where they fall apart. In fact, just go onto a sidebar. Oftentimes my litmus test for an argument is that if a flat earther can use it to prove the earth is flat, I disregard it. There's very few arguments that I will accept just throwing a label at somebody. I tell you what, my fellow gamers, ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand how we got here. These things used to be fun. We could joke. We knew no one was trying to hurt anyone because we were all friends. And if someone stepped over the line, we talked to them and we hugged it out. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know. Anyway, I think a person who talks about gatekeeping much better than I do is Arch Warhammer. He has a series on gatekeeping, and I will put a link to one of those videos in my description. Anyway, I think I'm done here. This took a very long time to make. You may have noticed that a lot of the references in the script is old. It's because I had to sit down and write these out slowly as I had time in between work and sleep. I probably won't be able to make a lot of videos like this one. And then again, if you watched it, thank you so much. Time is valuable, so I do appreciate it. Now, go out and enjoy your hobby with your friends. And always remember, heretics, never let standing up by yourself stop you from standing up for yourself. Good night.